Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Sarah here with another great business to discuss in this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guest is William, and he's selling his SaaS business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Welcome to the show, William. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Yeah, good to have you here. Looking forward to talking a bit more about your business. Before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of the business. This is a SaaS business in the technology niche, created in April 2017. The average monthly revenue of the business is $8,366, and it has an average of $4,855 per month in net profit, and that is based on a 10-month pricing period. Included in the sale of the business are domain and all-site content and files, email list, SOPs, and supplier contracts and relationships. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 46718 to learn more about the business or place a refundable deposit to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing. Now that I've given a general overview of the business, let's dig into the interview. William, tell me a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses.
My background is specific to financial services, so I began by building actually a website that evolved into what our business is today that was focused on consumers as we found benefits to those consumer tools, but not the distribution for it. We started selling those consumer tools to intermediaries, and those intermediaries found a lot of value in using our tools to increase the business prospects of their own franchises.
Okay, great. Well, tell me, why did you choose the SaaS business model? And, why do you think the SaaS business model is great for those interested in online business?
It's incredibly scalable. It's very high margin. It's easy to manage. It takes our team to manage the product today about 2 hours a week. That's without a lot of focus on growth. Most of our team have moved on to other employments and undertakings. They don't work full-time on the business anymore. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about SaaS. When you get it right, is you find a fit, you build yourself into somebody's workflow, and you become inseparable from that workflow and have a very stable revenue base.
That's a great answer. I'm an outsider to the business. So can you walk me through how this business primarily makes money?
Well, it makes money, as you just mentioned, on a SaaS subscription basis. Many of our clients on a monthly subscription meant to be for a year-long contract. Occasionally, people will pay us everything up front on a one-year basis. We provide automation services to a variety of professional services firms looking for help in monetizing and managing leads that they're encountering through their normal course of business.
Great. So why are you selling the business instead of keeping it and growing it?
Well, you mentioned that we started the business in April 2017, but that was with a very different product. We had a 4-person team. We gyrated in many different directions. We didn't set out to build the business we ended up building. It wasn't until about June, July of 2018 that we hit on a product variation that started to sell well in the market. Spent about 8 months building it up to the revenue base that it has now. By that point, it's difficult to support 4 mouths on $8,000 a month of roughly gross revenue. And so we wanted to get on to other things that had a little more leverage to our time, but we still built a great stable business that somebody, if they wanted to operate on their own or add to a portfolio, I think would find a lot of value. It just doesn't work for 4 people.
Okay, sure. Would you say there's anything you learned from this business that you'd apply to future sites or businesses? Was there anything you learned from building this that just seemed to really work for you?
I think the niche focus, I think starting small, building something that really fits a use case for your client, and then being able to stamp that out across other verticals was something we're starting to see the returns on. I think if we had been focused on that from the beginning, we probably wouldn't be selling this business because we would in a different situation, having built it that way from the beginning and needing less resources from the very start to focus on it. I think those are things that I've learned.
Would you have any advice that you would give to our listeners that you wish you'd known when you started?
As I just said, I think we didn't need to overstaff to build and manage this business. I think there's a clear product fit for people who are our target market, but it took us a long time to find our target market, which are people who generally either purchase or generate a lot of leads through their website or through some online third-party source that they're buying from. And had we been targeting that specific a niche from the beginning and building product around what they need, I think this business could be a lot bigger than it is today, but it just wasn't where we started.
That's a great answer. Where does the majority of your traffic come from, and what are you currently doing in terms of marketing?
We do nothing in terms of marketing. We have very little traffic. The traffic that we do receive, we still get inquiries, probably about one or two a week for people wanting product demos. That comes from referrals from existing clients exclusively. In the beginning, when we were starting to build a base of clients for the business, we were doing direct email marketing. And as we hit on veins or channels of individuals who had their own business development approach that I mentioned of generating volume through their website, people requesting quotes or making inquiries, or that were purchasing third-party leads, those were really great fits for us. And that's where we started focusing most of our business development effort. Product was starting to build beyond that. That's where the revenues were coming from.
If you were to keep the business, what are some ways that you would try to grow it?
If I were going to try to grow the business, I would spend time in other verticals. I think with the core product set that we have would be the first and foremost way. So we have beachheads with a couple of other verticals. Contractors are one. So everything from tile installation contractors to solar contractors. Lawyers are one that similarly have a big business model in getting leads through online channels and generating inquiries through their website. And then we have insurance agents and other real estate agents, other like professionals that are in a similar state of providing services to consumers, needing to generate leads or purchase leads from third-party sources and in a lot of competition to those leads and farming them. That'd be priority one. I think priority two, if you want to invest a little bit more and roll up your sleeves, we were building a product development pipeline, would have opened us up to more professionals with more types of their own business development avenues that we could have been relevant to. We just didn't march down that path far enough. So those could be people running workshops, doing more in-person networking, extracting latent contact data from somebody's existing CRM or email communications. Those are all things that we were starting to do, but chose not to pursue.
That's a great answer. Well, of course, we always try to cover all sides of the story here. So on the flip side of that, what do you think are the biggest risks with a business that a buyer should be aware of?
I'd say the risks are when you have third-party lead sources, you have a concentration risk. In some case, you can client base that operates through a third-party lead source. So, for example, there's ABC website that might sell a lead to a professional for their business. ABC website probably builds a really good following if they're delivering good leads, and lots of professionals are going to be paying them for their leads. That's a great place for us to insert ourselves and be relevant to the relationship between ABC website and what the professional does in turning those leads into clients. But if ABC website suddenly decides not to sell leads for whatever reason, they don't find it economical anymore, or a regulatory reason or whatever it might be, I'd say that's probably the single biggest risk. The business in its current form. And then I think if you think about what the internet is and what it does for people in lead generation and only becoming more relevant, I think as a secular trend, there's not a lot of concern there. But I think in any specific case, you could argue that there's some concentration risk to any particular source.
Moving on to a bit of a different subject here, can you describe the amount and type of work you do on this business for maintenance?
Very little. So there are two of us who are involved to a very limited degree any longer in managing the business. I will field demo requests if they come in and customer support inquiries, which tend to have to do with updating some of the content in their campaigns that might not have refreshed properly or may need just a refresh on our own end. And then on my partner side, who, again, does not work on the business full time, he'll support in some of those customer service requests more on the technical side of things to make sure that those refreshes that might need to be done, that they happen. But it's a few hours of work a week at a maximum that we're spending at this point because, again, we're not investing in further product development or in any type of advertising or marketing. We've moved on to full-time positions in other areas.
Okay. What skills or requirements are there for someone not familiar with this niche or business model?
I think if you have the technical capability, I don't think you're going to need it's a pretty intuitive business model, and the product kind of runs itself once it gets installed. The different niches that we sell into, there's a little bit of marketing prep that is probably appropriate to put forth in the email marketing you do or in the way that you reach out to professionals who might work in those areas. But it's a little bit more of a skinning thing, and I don't think it would be overwhelming to spend time on that if you want to target one or more verticals beyond the one that we're already embedded in.
Sure. Well, how much support are you offering buyers?
We're offering to help them through a full transition of the business. So anything that they need to get comfortable with the code base, to understand the customer service requests that are ongoing, to get a feel for the product themselves, and to understand how we adapted it to other verticals and how they might adapt it further to those verticals to make it more relevant to really attack them. Those are all things we'd love to help somebody understand and get into as they take over the business.
Great. Would you commit to a non-compete?
I would commit to a non-compete, yes.
Are you open to something like an earn-out?
Yes, open to it.
Okay. Wrapping up, just a few personal questions here. Is there anyone who inspired you while building this business that our listeners might like as well?
I guess as we started, again, I said the product, it pivoted in a few different ways. So we had different North Stars with different iterations of what our team was thinking we were going to become. As we settled into what the business is today, I think the examples you can hold out are those that become almost operating systems of the way people run their practices and their businesses. So Salesforce is probably the biggest, baddest behemoth in the space of being an operating system to people's businesses. They don't do exactly the things that we do, and the ambitions we had for automations deeper into these practices were very different and in a lot of ways more advanced than Salesforce. But I think that kind of embeddedness and reliance that people develop on your product is something that we very much had in mind and wanted to achieve. And I think we've done that in the pieces that we're able to serve in the limited time that we spent on the business.
Yeah, I like that answer. Just a few wrap-up questions then. What drove you and motivated you while having this business?
Well, we started with a very ambitious view to the things we wanted to accomplish as a team. As I said, we started as a team of 4 in April 2017. We gyrated around a bit, but we always retained a lot of ambition about where we thought we could take things. And with this, as I just referenced, being an operating system to our clients' practices and helping them do things from a marketing and an automation standpoint better than they could do it themselves, even if they had the time for it, kept us excited about where we could take this. A lot of it was that. And then as we started to see some revenues accumulate, that became very exciting for us. And that it was just a matter of running out of time for keeping a 4-person team together, not being focused enough from the start on where we ended up making money. Sometimes that's the reality. So any buyer here, I think, benefits from the time that we spent previous to striking on some revenue as a team, iterating and pivoting and finding solutions. That ambition that kept us motivated, and in the creep of revenues that we were excited about when we got into it.
Great. Well, you basically started getting into my next question, answering a little bit. I do want to ask, just in case you have anything to add, putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
Well, I think it takes almost no management at this point. So I think even just from a cash flow return standpoint, if you can maintain the business a little bit, the cash flow itself should pay for the purchase. And then there's easy ways to grow it. I think you need to pair a little bit of a technical skill set with a little bit of business acumen. I think it's kind of a no-brainer for the clients that we have. It's a very stable base. The contract value when we started was around $750 contract, so those could be increased very easily because now it's more like $2,000 annual contract value, and some people pay us as much as $3,000 annual contract values. There's plenty of pricing elasticity, I think, to move it up, and the management is low, and I think there's some natural growth avenues to pursue. And if you have ambition of going further than that, I think we've laid the groundwork and can certainly share a lot of ideas about things we thought that could make this a behemoth of a business, but it was never an easy road. I think it doesn't happen as quickly as you want to build, $100 million revenue business versus a few $100,000 or $1 million revenue business.
Yeah, that's a great answer. William, this has been a great conversation. I feel like I've asked you most of the questions that I wanted to get through. Was there anything else that you wanted to add before we get going? Anything else I might have missed?
No, I'll just reiterate that it's a stable revenue base. It doesn't take a lot of management. The product is pretty easily extensible. In some cases, we've already laid the groundwork to extend it. I think it's kind of a no-brainer, I think, at the price that it's being offered. And yeah, so I do hope that somebody finds it and can add it to their portfolio or build a good income base off of it for a while. And we'd be happy to walk people through anything that they need to get set up on that platform as they jump into it.
Great. Well, William, this has been awesome. Definitely looking forward to seeing how things play out for you in the deal. And for everyone else listening, to check out more details on this business or place a deposit, visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 46718. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. By placing a refundable deposit, you'll be given everything you need to know about the business and can start your due diligence. Until next time, everyone.